In my last video about new HSK, I made a promise that I would keep you posted as soon as I got more official news about the new HSK. I also received many comments from people, including some very good and specific questions that need to be addressed. Last Tuesday, April 20th, I attended the academic conference for Chinese proficiency grading standards, which was hosted by the Chinese Ministry of Education and HSK Test Center. This was a top-level meeting devoted to discussing the new HSK standard. The most famous Chinese education experts, teachers from the HSK Test Center, and the authoritative compilers and publishers of Chinese learning materials all attended the conference. At the meeting, I got hold of these national standard documents and listened to the official interpretation of the standards by the authoritative experts of the examination center. Now the conference is over, and after several days of analysis and collation, my colleagues and I finally finished this video to update you and resolve those questions raised previously. As the representatives at the conference are fully responsible for the new HSK, you can be assured these answers really are definitive. In my last HSK video, I summarized the standards and requirements for the new HSK into a table, and I'm going to follow the order of that table again today. According to the 4 keywords, levels and bands, language knowledge test, communication skills test, and practical communication topics test, I have listed the questions received as comments in my last video and now answer each one in detail. For convenience, I will call the new HSK test HSK3.0 as opposed to the current one called HSK2.0. Indeed, this is the terminology which was used in the conference to compare these two and even the previous HSK 1.0. Let's start with the first element, levels and bands. Question: when will HSK 3.0 begin? After listening to the discussion of the test center experts, I can tell you with absolute certainty that there will be no new test papers in 2021. There may also be no new exam papers for the first half of 2022. This means that the earliest start could be in the second half of 2022, but it may well be into 2023 because the current document is called Chinese Proficiency Grading Standards. They don't refer to the exam outline, but rather are used to guide the compilation of new textbooks, the design of updated courses, and the study of the new question types, which will be introduced in the new exam paper. This is a time-consuming process and is unlikely to be completed within a year. Therefore, HSK 2.0 will continue to be used into 2022 if in future HSK Test Center launches exam outline. Then it means that the HSK 3.0 exam is about to officially start. As such, if you have a definite plan for the HSK test this year or even next year, you can continue to study with your current materials and no need to worry. Question: if I'm taking HSK 2.0, how can I transfer to HSK 3.0? During the conference, it became clear that the examination center experts' interpretation of the HSK 3.0 levels was completely different to what I had expected. Please take a look at the table. You must have noticed that the HSK 2.0 level description is quite special. Before 2008, examinations followed HSK 1.0 with a total of 12 bands. The future HSK 3.0 will have 9 bands. However, both of them share 3 band groupings, being elementary level, intermediate level, and advanced level. Whereas the current HSK 2.0 has no advanced level. According to the test center experts, HSK 2.0 Band 5 and 6 testing does not examine the student's ability in terms of professional Chinese communication, but only more general social communication. As such, they are only defined as intermediate level, even if they require relatively advanced proficiency. A truly advanced student should be able to flexibly and confidently use lots of vocabulary used in academic books and articles and at the same time understand the Chinese professional communication style. Indeed, HSK 1.0 had such test content before. I used to tutor students in HSK 1.0, and the best students passed band 11, which is a very good level for a native Chinese person. These students can all attend the Chinese government press conference directly, without the need of an interpreter, and can understand the formal Chinese language directly, as well as asking questions immediately with an appropriate professional style. Therefore, when mapping from HSK 2.0 to HSK 3.0, the levels of HSK 2.0 are basically band 1 to band 6 in the new HSK 3.0. That is to say, students who pass HSK 2.0 band 5 and band 6 are only considered intermediate level and do not hold advanced level certification. The new bands 7 to 9 examinations are required to obtain an advanced certificate. Question: will it be unfair for students to start the first HSK 3.0 exam with a new test method without any preparation? In my last video's comments, a student asked me this question, and I replied that there must be a transition period. What do I mean by a transitional period? Let me explain. I experienced a transition from HSK 1.0 to HSK 2.0. At that time, the test center set a transition period of 6 months. During those 6 months, there were 2 test papers for each test, HSK 1.0 and HSK 2.0, and students could choose which one to take when registering. Of course, when the first HSK 2.0 test became available at the start of the transition period, all the students still chose HSK 1.0 because they were not sure whether they could adapt to the content of HSK 2.0. Later, it was found that the HSK 2.0 test paper was much easier, so the students did not choose the HSK 1.0 test paper, and after 6 months, there was only the HSK 2.0 test paper, with the HSK 1.0 test paper having completely disappeared. This time, when transitioning from HSK 2.0 to HSK 3.0, there will also be transition period. Will it be 6 months like last time, and a choice of tests during that time? That is not yet determined. However, all test center experts agree that there will be a new transition period with gradual change, and students will have time to adjust gradually. Let's talk about the second key element, language knowledge test. I want to talk about the pronunciation, characters, vocabulary, and grammar aspects respectively. Question: how to convert the score and band of HSK 3.0 exam paper. With the addition of band 7, 8, and 9, the number of pronunciation, characters, vocabulary, and grammar in the HSK 3.0 assessment has been increased to a certain extent. This table has been reproduced many times, so I'm sure if you are following this topic, you have seen it. But have you noticed, for band 1 through 6, each of the 4 elements has a specific number, but for band 7, 8, and 9, each element only has a total for all 3 bands, rather than a separate number for each. Experts at the test center explained that there will be a paper for each band from band 1 to band 6, and the students will be judged on whether they have passed that band or not, according to their scores. However, there is only one paper for the 3 advanced bands. That is to say, like many other examinations, it is not just about pass or fail, but rather your score. All students will take the same paper, and then, according to the student's score, it will determine what band they are awarded. The higher the score, the higher the band. Question: will there be a big change in the format of HSK 3.0 exam questions? The examination center experts strongly suggested that any key changes in the types of HSK 3.0 examination question will start from the advanced level, namely for band 7, 8, and 9. As there is no such equivalent test paper in HSK 2.0, these questions can be completely new. HSK 3.0 Band 1 to 6 will temporarily retain the basic form of HSK 2.0 without major changes. Then, gradually Band 1 to 6 may slowly begin to depart from the current HSK 2.0 format, while allowing students time to adapt. As such, you can still prepare according to the exam materials that you have now. Question: will there be any pinyin in HSK 3.0 Band 1 and Band 2? At present, the HSK test papers for Bands 1 and 2 uses both Chinese characters and pinyin. From Band 3, only Chinese characters are used. The conference has confirmed that HSK 3.0 Band 1 will still have both pinyin and Chinese characters. Possibly the same for Band 2, but no pinyin at Band 3 and beyond. This is the same as the current HSK 2.0 test. At the same time, experts from the examination center also stressed that the Band 1 and 2 for HSK 3.0 examinations will be easier to pass than the Bands 1 and 2 for HSK 2.0, which is designed to encourage learners to keep continuing on their learning journey. Question: what are the changes to the Chinese character requirements of HSK 3.0? Although HSK 3.0 requires 795 more characters than HSK 2.0, there is one thing that stands out. HSK 3.0 divides Chinese characters into those that must only be read and those that should be written. In other words, at elementary levels, 1 to 3 inclusive, students need to know a total of 900 characters, of which 300 they should be able to write correctly. For the remaining 600 characters, students need only recognize them. From Bands 4 to 6, the total number of new characters is 900, of which 400 must be written correctly. There are 1,200 new characters for Bands 7 to 9, of which 500 must be written correctly. Question: what are the changes to the vocabulary requirements of HSK 3.0? The total number of words required in Bands 1 to 9 in HSK 3.0 is only 1,342, more than Bands 1 to 6 in HSK 2.0, which doesn't seem like a huge amount. However, experts at the test center stressed that since the HSK 3.0 test focuses on students' ability to actually communicate in a wide range of realistic situations, students should pay special attention to the fact that a word may have different meanings in different contexts. For example, when I mentioned the use of the word but in my last video of informal talks, I described the different ways the same Chinese word could be used to totally change its meaning. In that case, depending on usage, one can mean but, or alternatively create emphasis and impart an implicit warning. Therefore, in your daily studies, I suggest that you should start to consider the different meanings of Chinese words based on their usage, and consider making a list of these so they become familiar. This will help you to prepare for the new HSK 3.0 test. You can also check out our video series on informal talks, where I will cover a lot of examples of this sort of real communication, which will be part of the HSK 3.0 exam. Question: how to test the HSK 3.0 grammar? HSK 3.0 is similar to HSK 2.0 in terms of the way grammar will be assessed, but one of the biggest changes is the introduction of a translation requirement from the intermediate level, Band 4. In the last video about the new HSK, I emphasized that translation is brand new content, which is a new challenge for both teachers and students. At the meeting, experts from Test Center explained that a good translator doesn't only use the right words, phrases, and sentence structures, but should also be able to understand the influence of Chinese cultural factors on Mandarin expressions. If you have watched our recent Informal Talks video, you will know that when I explain, I emphasize the Chinese way of thinking reflected in the expressions used, rather than just giving you the straight translation of the expression. This is very different from grammar theory taught in textbooks, needing to be experienced by referring to real communication examples. Our Informal Talk series shows you how to express yourself in real-life communication, which will help you prepare for the HSK 3.0 exam. Question: will there be any new requirements for HSK 3.0 writing? From the beginning of HSK 3.0 Band 4, students will be required to write an essay of no less than 300 words within a specified time. Exam center experts agreed that the writing assessment in the current HSK 2.0 exam is too easy, so there will surely be changes coming. However, the fundamental principles by which writing is judged will not change. That is, 1. Accurate writing of Chinese characters, 2. Create a well-structured essay, and 3. Clear logical relationships between sentences. If you follow these 3 principles, you are on the right track to creating a good essay. You should start practicing early according to this criteria. I put communication skills test, practical communication topics test, 2 elements together because this is the biggest feature of HSK 3.0. Throughout the workshop, in every speech, the experts universally stressed the same of the fundamental point, this being, irrespective of level, students must focus on clear real-life communication, including naturally the correct use of vocabulary and grammar. But beyond that, students must be able to understand the Chinese way of thinking and the role it plays in day-to-day effective communication. In other words, it's not just a textbook theory. Therefore, the questions at each level will be inspired by real-life topics, unlike the current HSK 2.0 Bands 5 and 6, which do not reflect students' real communication skills. Question: will speaking test be included in HSK 3.0 advanced level? As I said before, HSK 3.0 has added a new advanced level test, which emphasizes students' spoken expression skill. Therefore, there must be an oral test. Right now, the experts in the testing center are only discussing the ways in which students can demonstrate their practical oral communication skills. There was also a discussion about whether the oral and the written tests would be counted separately or whether the 2 grades would be put together to determine the advanced level achieved. So, no matter what the final decision of the test center is, you must continue to strengthen your oral expression practice from today onwards. Only with enough practice can you overcome any nerves when you take the test. When I say oral expression practice, I mean not only the ability to chat about informal daily topics, but also the ability to analyze, discuss, and argue in Chinese. My previous video on how to improve your spoken Chinese will give you a specific and effective way to do this. In addition, my school has always offered intermediate and advanced oral Chinese courses. Informal Talks is one such series which is on this channel. Please check it out. Question: what are the scoring criteria for the speaking test? During this meeting, experts from the test center clearly explained several criteria for the speaking test. 1. To be able to have in-depth discussion on a topic, not just a simple Q&A. 2. Standard and appropriate expressions for the context. 3. The expressions must be complete. And 4. Flexible use of analysis, reasoning, questioning, judgment, hypothesis, demonstration, and other practical communication strategies. You can start by following these criteria. Although HSK 3.0 will not be available until mid-2022 at the earliest, it will take time to practice. Now you know the criteria and you can begin to practice. Having now answered the most common questions raised in the comments for my first new HSK 3.0 video, I hope you feel at least a bit more informed. By being able to listen directly to the HSK experts' detailed explanation, I can now begin to prepare my students more comprehensively. In the future, I will make more videos covering the listening, speaking, reading, writing, and translating aspects of the new HSK 3.0, which I hope will be helpful to you.